Hi, my name is Marquita Walker, and I'm currently the president of the Mule Skinners organization. Mule Skinners is the educational and informational arm of the local Boone County Democratic Party. We meet each Friday at Stampers Commons on the Stevens College campus for lunch, and we present local programming. We would like to invite you to join us. I want to recognize any guests that we have with us today. I need my big Nancy Pelosi gavel. I want to recognize any guests that we have with us today. I have met a few new faces. Anyone want to tell us who they brought with them or self-identify? Well, we welcome everyone that has come today and invite you back anytime. We meet Fridays at noon right here. We're very excited about our programs this month because they are being taped for CAT TV, and you will be able to see the program that you're watching today, plus the 4th City Council Ward debate and the mayoral debate on CAT TV starting Thursday night at 7 o'clock, Friday night at 7 o'clock, and Saturday night at 8 o'clock. So we have some pretty good time slots for that. All 3 of the programs that have aired first, the mayoral debates and the 3rd and 4th ward debates, you will be able to see a couple of times in those 3 time slots. And I have no more specific information about that right now than that.
I'm going to give you all the 2-minute version. What we are asking for is we're asking the Boone County Library District voters, that's the people who live outside the 1965 city limits, for a 21 increase in their operating levy. And that money will be used to build and run 2 branches, one in the north, one in Ashland. And it will also extend the library hours on Sunday afternoon during the summer, which it would be a great help to Columbia. 5 cents of that tax will sunset in 10 years, leaving the total levy in the Boone County District at $45.86 per $100 assessed valuation, which is roughly in line with what the Columbia Public Library voters are paying right now. The advantages to this would be multiple, both inside the Columbia Library District and out. It would relieve the stress on Columbia Public Library, expand the service, and bring the tax burden for the Columbia Library District and the Boone County Library District roughly in line. They would pay off all the buildings at about the same time, and that would open the door then for a reorganization of the library district. So on your tables, there's information, as Marquita said. There are also some postcards. If you live in the Boone County Library District or know someone who does, I'd really appreciate it if you'd take those cards and either pass them around or send them to your neighbors or friends and neighbors in that district. If you need more cards, I can get them for you, and if you have questions, I'll be here after the meeting. Thank you.
Privilege to introduce to you candidates for the 3rd Ward City Council position. Seated to my right is Gary Kespool. Seated to my left is Carl Scala. This is a moderated debate. The moderator will be Kavanaugh Nose. We expect to have some time at the end of this debate for question and answers from the floor, and so we will begin that debate now, and I will turn the floor over to Kavanaugh Nose.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Kespool. I am 60 years old, have been a resident of Columbia for 55 years. I reside at 2215 South Country Club Drive with my wife Patty of 39 years. We have 2 married sons and 5 grandchildren. I attended Ridgeway Elementary School, Jefferson Junior High School, Hickman High School, and the University of Missouri. I started in the computer field in 1967 and have owned and operated Central Missouri Computer Center for the past 25 years. I have been active in my church for the past 40 years, holding offices of chairman, treasurer, and elder. Helping the young people of Columbia has been I and my wife's passion over 30 years. Her through founding, managing, and coaching the University of Missouri Golden Girls for 37 years, and I through Little League Baseball. I have held the elected positions of District Administrator of Central Missouri for the past 20 years, been on the advisory board for Little League Central Region headquarters in Indianapolis, Indiana for the past 10 years, and have been an advisor to the president of Little League Baseball from 2001 to 2003. Little Dixie Kiwanis Club of Columbia elected me president in 1988, and I have been a member of that group for 26 years. Our community is exactly what it says, a community. A community is people living together to achieve a common goal and help one another. I will bring to the council an open-minded, fair, and honest evaluation of each proposal or ordinance. My goal for Columbia is to keep this city as great a place to live in the future as it is today. Columbia needs strong, common sense, business experience leadership to continue to grow and prosper. We have many new challenges facing our city, and I believe I'm equipped to meet these challenges and make Columbia's future a bright one. I have a vested interest in Columbia to make this community as great a place to live as it can be for my children and grandchildren and yours. I consider it truly a privilege to be able to serve the citizens of Columbia as a member of the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to see all of this crowd. It's pretty heartwarming. I'm usually on the other side of the dais, but this is quite a privilege. I want to thank the Mule Skinners for hosting this candidate forum, and I would invite all of you to visit my website, which is www.scalaforcouncil.com. There's some literature on the table, and there's some yard signs in the back if you so wish to take part in that. As a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, a graduate of MU, and currently the director of the Swine Hormone Research Corps, and husband and father of 3, I have lived and raised my family in Columbia's 3rd Ward for 27 years. As I'm sure that you do, I love this place, and I want to work to keep it a great place to live. Our community deserves a 3rd Ward council person, a council representative with experience, dedication, and proven leadership. My qualifications include 6-year former member and vice chair of the Columbia Planning and Zoning Commission, 8-year member, current vice chair and former chair of the Columbia Environment and Energy Commission, 3-year member of the Columbia Chamber of Commerce and the Chamber Government Affairs Committee, 2-year current and founding member of Citizens for Timely and Responsible Road Infrastructure Financing, or TARIF, 2-year member of the Boone County Smart Growth Coalition, and 9-year member, current city liaison, founder and former chair of the Hominy Branch Neighborhood Association. Extensive service on both the Columbia Planning and Zoning Commission and the Environment and Energy Commission have taught me the importance of stakeholder empowerment and the value of dialogue between disparate groups seeking solutions to seemingly intractable problems. As a member of the Columbia Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs Committee, I learned the importance of maintaining balance and reconciling different community perspectives and interests, which is precisely what the City Council must do. My top 3 priorities as 3rd Ward Councilman will be safer neighborhoods, quality roads and city services, and thoughtful city planning. All 3 of my priorities are closely interrelated. Columbia, like any city, has a limited amount of tax dollars. To get the most for taxpayers' money, city planning must adhere to proven long-range planning principles and take advantage of existing resources. Without good planning, we don't have enough funds available for important community needs like roads, sewer, and utility maintenance, schools, and fire and police support. Many of these needs are simply not being met in long-established and chronically neglected 3rd Ward neighborhoods. Thank you. Well, this is kind of a two-tiered approach. I mentioned that my top three priorities were safer neighborhoods, quality roads and city services, and thoughtful city planning. The first two of those are really award-specific. Safer neighborhoods, as I've canvassed, is a need that certain areas in the ward are expressing. I'm talking in terms of police responsiveness primarily, and I also support the Civilian Review Board in terms of the police department. When it comes to quality roads and city services, I could go on for a long time here. It kind of weaves into the third priority, which is thoughtful city planning. But let me just cite an example. Lamone Industrial Boulevard is a good one. Lamone Industrial Boulevard certainly needed traffic relief. It's a very expensive project, $9 million. It was touted as a public-private partnership where the city would spend $5 million and the development community would spend $4 million. What they didn't tell you is that there are TDDs on both ends of that project, and those TDDs will take sales tax money. So it's really a public-public partnership. Worse, there were two projects in the third ward that were dropped in favor of the Lamone Industrial Boulevard, which will not solve the traffic problem. It needs to be a bit further east. Those two projects are the kinds of projects, improvements to Ballinger, improvements to St. Charles from St. Charles Road to Keene, and the overpass across I-70 are the kinds of projects that I would support as a third ward city councilman. I haven't mentioned, and I still have a bit of time, in terms of the thoughtful city planning. And all I can say about that is growth management planning. And growth management planning has several purposes. There was a report that was given to the City Council in 2004 called Growth Management Planning in the Urban Fringe. It had four purposes, but the two probably the most important purposes, one is to coordinate public infrastructure with private development, and the other was to restore the trust that people have in their government to set the priorities for this kind of road infrastructure project. Thank you.
I, like Carl, am concerned with safer roads and neighborhoods in the third ward. Crime and vandalism are a problem in the third ward in the northeast sector. There's a subdivision out there that I toured and went door to door in that has a few homes that are vacant, and I learned from the neighbors that they've been vacant for 3 weeks. The guttering's been knocked off the houses, the siding's been torn up, the windows are all broken out. It's just vandalism problem. I think improving the roads in that neighborhood, all those roads in the northeast are unimproved roads with no shoulders and no curb and gutter, and I think it's time to pay some attention to those roads. They're major arterial roads that people travel every day. I'm also concerned about deteriorating neighborhoods, not only in the northeast but down towards central Columbia. We have on the statutes landlord inspection programs. I don't think they're being adhered to as they should be. We also have nuisance laws for homeowners that I don't think are being adhered to, and these properties need to be repaired and replaced. One of the things I think Columbia may want to think about doing, we're getting to the size of a city where we need to maybe branch our police department out and have precincts. I can see having a precinct out in northeast Columbia. The response time from Thornbrook to northeast Columbia would take 30 minutes if we had a major crisis out there. I think we probably need to put some precincts in different areas of Columbia, but the northeast for sure needs a precinct. I'd also like to see some parkland set aside out there for young people, and maybe even a community center for them to go and take part in. Thank you.
Would you both state your position in respect to growth, development, redevelopment, and also make mention of the downtown renovation redevelopment plan?
Columbia is continuing to grow at a phenomenal rate. I think other communities would love to emulate what Columbia is doing. I'm opposed to limiting growth. I've found some statistics at the Board of Realtors that state that 60% of the new households established in Columbia from 1990 till 2000 were established by children, our children, or graduating seniors from the University of Missouri. That means, to me, that young people know the value of Columbia and they stay here. I don't think we want to limit that growth. The downtown area, The Sasaki report is a great tool to revitalize downtown. I think downtown is alive and well. I'm in favor of mixed use downtown. I think if we adhere to that report and follow that report, downtown will become more alive. We can make it a very unique community downtown if we just follow the plan they've laid out for us. Thank you.
My perspective on growth and development. It seems to me that public opinion has been polarized in this community by portraying growth as a for or against issue. It sets up a false conflict, and it distracts us from the real issues. And the real issues are the costs and the benefits of growth, particularly the benefits. There is a lot of cost-sharing discussion going on, but there's very little discussion about benefit sharing. All growth and development ought to be well-planned and responsible. And I think there are very few folks in this community who would even be, who you could tag with the moniker anti-growth. They just don't exist. There are few, but very few. Well-planned and responsible growth lends itself to attracting high-paying, permanent jobs and provides for a bright, long-term economic future in Columbia. I, of course, support the public-private partnerships that work, those that led to the establishment of Discovery Ridge and MU Business Incubator and the housing industry necessary to realize our community's bright economic future. Many Columbians have been labeled anti-growth. They're actually supporters of growth management planning, that concept I mentioned before. Growth management planning is a process that can help coordinate public infrastructure with private development and ensure transparency and public trust in the development process. Those are those two purposes I mentioned before. Good planning can help better achieve a better balance between the costs of growth and its benefits. Good planning also avoids endless negotiations and provides dependability for those in the banking and development communities.
What is your opinion of the Columbia visioning process, and how would you strengthen the process?
Well, I've taken part in the Columbia visioning process since its inception. I actually took the training for the co-facilitator training, not because I wanted to be a co-facilitator, but I wanted to know what the co-facilitators knew. I really wanted to offer my opinions in the visioning process. I remember having a conversation with Bill Watkins soon after he was hired for the position of city manager. And in that conversation, we talked about a lot of things, not the least of which was the visioning process. And he told me something that bothered me a bit, and that was, yes, he certainly spoke the right words, and he has the right message, and I think he has good instincts. But what he mentioned was that we really need to keep a structure, keep control of the process, and don't lose control of the process. And I looked at him and I said, well, it bothers me a little bit. I think what we really need to do is lose control of the process. Let the people drive the process here. I'm not sure, and people have been telling me and with my own experience, some of the controls on being able to blend and negotiate and to talk to other folks in the visioning process we're running up against time limits. And I think what it's going to do in the end is it's going to reduce the effectiveness of the product. I think we just need to take a little bit more time and let the folks decide where we want to go with this city.
I am also a member of the visioning process, been attending their meetings. I was interested in development, so I got on the development subcommittee. I think the visioning process may be running a little too fast. Personally, I would like to be on more than one committee, and it's impossible to do the way they have it structured. There are other things that interest me besides development. I'm a little concerned about the time frame of trying to put this in a year's time frame. I wish they would expand the time frame of that process to maybe involve more citizens and give citizens who are interested in the process other options to go to different committees. I think we have people in the process who have good ideas, but their only ideas are heard in the committee they're involved in. And we need to draw on those folks to give ideas to other committees. So I think we just are going too fast with that process. We maybe need to slow it down a little bit and make it over 2 years. I agree with Carl on that. It's just going too fast.